this is Miko from the Permit Empire. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. I want to thank those of you who have recently liked, subscribed, shared, or even commented on any of my other videos. I want to let you know that I truly do appreciate it, and I ask that if you have not done any of those things so far, that you go ahead and feel free to do so today. So, I wanted to discuss a little bit in today's video. I wanted to talk about a great question that I got, and it was, for the most part, it was saying, what do I say to contractors if they ask me, did I ever do that type of permit that they need? If they ever ask me that. Now, I'm taking this from a standpoint as a newbie. I'm going to look at it from a standpoint as a newbie because I understand that a lot of people watching may not have ever done any permits before. You're just looking into getting into it. You're just trying to feel things out to see if this is even something you want to pursue. So I wanted to kind of just go ahead and answer that question a little bit. Now, with that conversation, like I said, this person actually has done some permits. They just haven't done that permit. I'm still going to take it from the standpoint of a newbie and go from there. Now, here's what I do. I always tell everyone who asks me about permits in the first place, anyone who's looking for a consultation, anyone who just wants to DM me or talk to me about it, I am usually saying the same thing about when you first start in permit running. Get yourself very familiar with the building department. Get yourself familiar with the forms, with the procedures. Go ahead and get yourself familiar with those things. Because yes, some contractors, they may ask you, have you ever done this type of permit before? They may. But for the most part, what it is that they're really looking for is they're looking to see how familiar you are with the building department. That's really what they want to see. This is why I always make a big point of telling everyone who will listen to me the same thing. Your first step is getting familiar with the building department. Get familiar with the forms. Go in to the building department if you can. I do understand that some of the building departments are still closed. Now, I want to say this though, some of the building departments are accepting online permits, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean they're closed to the public. They still may be open to the public. You still may be able to go in and have a conversation with a building permit clerk, even though they're only accepting permits online. But you still may be able to go inside. If you're not able to go inside, get a phone call going. Ask for a building permit clerk and ask, hey, what is the usual procedures as to how I submit permits here? What's the usual forms that are needed in order to submit a basic permit? Now, I do understand that, yes, for certain projects, there are different requirements. That's one thing, but there are some basic things that are needed for all permits, such as the permit application. For the most part, they're always going to start with, they need a signed permit application, and that is generally the number one thing that they're going to need to start this process regardless. The permit clerks will give you the information regarding the permit applications and where you can find them. And especially if they do not allow for you to come in person, they will direct you to them online. They will actually give you the website. They'll tell you exactly where to look. And usually it's under their building department and in their form section. Some building departments that are open, they actually have the permit applications there that you can actually take a copy. They do not mind. You can take a copy, you can review it and go over it to kind of get yourself familiar with what's being asked. This is, for the most part, what I have noticed that contractors, homeowners, and investors really want to know. They really want to know how familiar you are with the building department. So no, I don't really get into that back and forth of, oh, I've done plenty of those type of permits. No, I let them know, oh, I'm very familiar with this building department. I'm familiar with the guidelines in this area. And if this is the permit type that you need, I could always look to check to see if there's additional documents that will be needed for submission, but you know you need a permit application. That's where we're always going to start. The very basics, we're always going to start with, you need a permit application. If there is anything additional, I will definitely check with it, but I'm very familiar with the building department and I'm very familiar with the procedures. That is, for the most part, what everyone is looking for in your answer. People understand, contractors also understand that you may not have done their particular types of project. They also understand that a lot of people do not do a lot of permits. That's not something that has happened. Sometimes you'll have a permit clerk who works for a construction office, and so she has done or he has done that particular type of permit. The whole goal is, how well do you understand the procedure, the process, the requirements of that building department? So Again, I go back to, it's in your best interest to familiarize yourself with your local building department. Go in, ask questions, call, make that phone call. They will talk to you and ask some of the basic questions. You can ask them what's required to submit a permit application. What is required? What is it that you usually are looking for? In a lot of cases, they have actually like a checklist. They will email you a checklist. They'll show you where you can get that checklist from, or they'll have it available in the building department. So again, I go back to the answer for this question and how you maneuver in that type of situation. You let them know, I'm familiar with this building department. I'm familiar with this area. I'm familiar with the procedures. And that is what they're looking for. That's usually how I answer those questions, because there are some permits that I hadn't done, and that, hey, now I have a contractor who's asking me, can I deal with his permits? And I let them know, hey, I'm very familiar with the way this building department operates. I'm very familiar with their turnaround times. And they will still entrust you with their documents because, like I said, again, they want to know that you understand the process. They want to know that you have done something with this building department. You've had interaction, maybe that you know someone. Get a name, get the clerk who works there, who answers your call, get her name. And yeah, I've spoken to Mary many times, that type of thing. That is what contractors really do want to see. You may not have that as much with homeowners asking those questions because they just need the relief. Like, they're just like, I'm not sure what to do. But a lot of times contractors, if you can at least let them know that, hey, I am familiar with this building department, they're okay. And that is why I always say, because I do get the question a lot too about, like, how do I get started? And I always tell everyone, first things first, get yourself familiar with your local building department. Get yourself familiar with the procedures, the processes, and the paperwork. That's a great place to get things started. Now, I will say, like I said, I've had even in consultations where I'm talking to people, and that's like a thing that's kind of holding people back as to, like, what do I say to a contractor if they're asking me about my ability to run their permit? You're familiar with that building department. You're familiar. So if you have had that question, I hope this helped answer it just a little bit. But if you do have any questions, comments, definitely feel free to leave them below. I look forward to chit-chatting with you. If you want to book a consult with me, definitely also feel free to do that as well. And we can have more of a one-on-one conversation. But until the next video, I look forward to chit-chatting with you in the comments.